Hi, folks. Welcome to another edition of 5 Minute Football. And I'm joined by the football expert. There he is, looking fantastic, Brendan McGirr. How are you, Brendan?
Very good, Liam. You've made me feel even better saying that.
So, what did you reckon about the this weekend's football?
Arsenal Tottenham game was good, wasn't it? I know Arsenal genuinely just give it away, really, didn't they? Like
Yeah.
they should have won that game. In fairness, they'll look back on that. It was such a bad mistake for the second Spurs goal.
Spurs are doing very, very well. You have to say. I kind of thought it might be a draw. People were all saying Arsenal are going to smash it and this, that, and the other. But I thought Spurs would hold them.
Yeah, no, they've done it. They've done all right, Spurs. But I think if we're really honest, like they did sneak that draw really because it was just bad mistake by the Arsenal defender there to let that happen. But they are playing well, Tottenham, aren't they? Without Harry Kane, I mean, they are playing better as a team by the looks of it without him.
Yeah. Where do you think they're going to end up?
I do think Tottenham could be a surprise package. I think they'll end up in the top three, maybe four, but definitely they're going to be pushing this season, aren't they? I think Chelsea are dropping out. Liverpool look good. Man United don't look like they're going to be getting near it in reality, do they?
No, not at all. I don't think so. I think the top four is, City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal. In whatever order. Obviously, City at the top. Any tips on that top four?
I don't know. I think the top four is not far out there, but I wouldn't say Man City are going to win it. I think it's a hard one at this stage of the season. It's still tight, but I still think Arsenal. I don't know why. I got a feeling they're going to make a challenge. I think they'll learn from last season, and City will have a bleep at some point in the season. There's no doubt about it. They'll drop points somewhere.
Yeah, and well, of course, my outside tip is Sheffield United. I think they could force their way in. They just had a blip against Newcastle, but I think they're in with a chance. What do you think?
Well, Newcastle have got to look at the two players that didn't score and actually think how shit you must be.
Yeah, even the
I,
goalkeeper must be
Even the
upset.
goalkeeper's got to be thinking I could have got in on that one. But the two that didn't score have got to be holding their heads in shame, really, haven't they? They didn't score. Eight other players scored. You two didn't score.
Yeah, well, according to this, it says Sheffield United have no immediate plans to sack boss Paul Heckingbottom. I hadn't even heard of Paul Heckingbottom. So, did you know much about him?
He's done all right. I mean, he got them promoted, didn't he? But any of them teams that come up now from that league are so far apart from the Premier League. If you look at Luton and Sheffield United have come up this season, they are miles apart, aren't they, from competing in that league in reality.
Yeah, well, Luton they lost in the Carabao Cup as well to Exeter, so they're not doing well. So the two people who are top of the possible sacking league is Heckingbottom and also Pochettino. So, do you think which one's going to go first? Are any of them going to go?
I think Pochettino's got more chance of going because Chelsea are a more demanding outfit, aren't they? I mean, Sheffield United, if they're honest with themselves, they know they're not ready to compete in that league. 8-0 against Newcastle more than confirms how far off you are. Do you know what I mean? But Chelsea really should be doing better. The resources they've got, and,
Money.
and they've had, he can't complain. He's had everything he needed there to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got from the first six games, he's got one win from the first six games, and they're 14th in the Premier League. So, I mean, at that amount of money spent, I mean, it's beyond belief, isn't it?
Well, I'm just surprised if that was any Chelsea's history in the last 20 years, he would be sacked now, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, other news going on in the football thing: Marcus Rashford's been in a crash. He crashed his £700,000 Rolls Royce into a car driven by a 74-year-old grandmother who had been babysitting. What do you think about that story?
He's got a spare one, and he drove that into the training ground, another 700 grand Rolls Royce, which he's got as a spare.
Yeah. What do you think about, footballers with these cars? I mean, are you into cars? Yeah, I mean, surely they can find something better to spend their money on than 700 grand for a roller, really, or two.
But if you're a young man with that amount of money, that's probably a week and a half's wages that car to him.
Yeah.
So, if I was in that position at that age, I'd have definitely been buying some ridiculously stupid cars just because you can. You don't have no concept of the money at that age. You just think, I'll have that, don't you?
You don't think you'd have some social conscience, Brendan, and think, right, I'm going to go down to the homeless place. I'm going to give some money instead and drive in on an old battered car?
No, none whatsoever. I'd be out there having another Bentley or a Bentayga or whatever and waving at them.
Yeah. Well, what amused me about this story is they said the club officials also paid for a taxi to take the grandmother home. Well, that's big of them. That's big of them. So, other news: Aston Villa are complaining about their shirts, saying it's hindering their performance on the pitch. Apparently, they've got some new shirts, and it makes them really sweaty. It's a bit of an excuse, that, isn't it?
The last time I heard anything like that was, do you remember Admiral?
Yes.
When they brought out the England kits and the England players was moaning that they didn't soak up the sweat. There's a good documentary on them about Admiral. They're from Leicester, that company.
Oh,
but
really?
they had the same issue. They brought out these shirts. I think it was 1982 for the World Cup.
Right.
And they hadn't even got the shirts out to sew the badges on them the night before. The Admiral actual logo, they had to sew them on the night before. But the England players moaned because they hadn't been tested and they didn't soak up the sweat that good.
Really? Now, do you think that's kind of like a legitimate excuse?
Well, I think if you looked at the material they had then, it might have been. Do you know what I mean? But looking at today's stuff, I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, other news we're looking through. Pep has said he's failed to get the best out of Kalvin Phillips, who joined City from Leeds. He's only played 5 times since his £45 million deal. I mean, and he plays for England and stuff like that. Should he have made that move? He must have known that he was going to be on the bench. I mean, is it just greed that he's getting a big contract, or what is it?
I think it's the football agents, isn't it, that control that. They will say to him, look, your best deal is this amount of money. You might only get this amount of games, but at the end of this contract, look at the money you've got. Do you know what I mean?
Well, would you have taken that deal, or would you sooner have played for lesser money?
Listen, I'd like to have got any deal off a football club, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Just even being the kit man would have done me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd have taken a deal at the moment. Times are hard, Brendan. Times are hard.
So, no, any of them players, look, I remember Lyle Taylor at Charlton. Mm-hmm. Everyone slagged him off for going.
Yeah.
But I think he was on £7,000 a week at Charlton, and he got a contract worth £25,000 a week at Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
I think he was 4th in the pecking order. He ended up there.
Yeah.
So it was like getting paid £25,000 a week to go to David Lloyd's and train, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, you would do it, wouldn't you? The money's so big now. I mean, it's like wherever he's going to Saudi. I see John Terry is just heading off to Saudi as well now. So,
well, I don't understand why the likes of John Terry, like, they don't need the money. So he can only be going there just as an experience. Do you know what I mean? The money ain't really going to affect him, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, he'll have
but they must genuinely be bored after the excitement of playing in the Premier League and having that life, that to go somewhere else and just get anything and get that amount of money, it's got to be a dream for him, really.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I'm still available for that move as well. Southend supporters have stepped up protests against owners Ron Martin by throwing toy rats and tennis balls onto the pitch during a game against Maidenhead. Do you think this is a really good protest, Brendan?
It's so sad, isn't it, that? It's so sad. That Southend was such a good. It's a good club, that Southend. It should be doing so much better there. It's got a good little fan base. Yeah, it's got some history as well, Southend. Do you know what I mean?
I like them as a club. They should be doing much better, shouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's bad management. There's no doubt about it. Bad management has caused that. They should not be out of the Football League, Southend United, should they?
No, definitely not. Fulham supporters are upset because the London club is going to charge fans up to £160, £160 for adults, £80 for juniors for home tickets against Manchester United. I mean, are these prices getting out of hand?
That probably ain't the dearest you've got in the Premier League today, but I just think that we need to look at what they do in Germany, where they cap these prices for the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If you look at the deal the fans get over there, the away fans get their train ticket included in the match day tickets. So, I think the money that they're charging people for football here to go and watch it is just outrageous. You know what I mean? The Premier League That's why I think it's a poison chalice. I wouldn't even, as a genuine football supporter, I'm quite happy to be in the Championship. I think it's a more reasonable standard, like of what you pay for what you get. It's a little bit dear, a bit ain't outrageous, but what are you getting in the Premier League? What is so special? I know that you got players from around the world, but it don't warrant what they're doing to a working man with his children to actually try and pay £500-600 to watch one game of football.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, you're taking a couple of kids with you and all that. I mean, you're spending hundreds and hundreds of pounds. I think out of order.
If you just quickly, if you remember Eric Cole, do you remember Bubbler?
Oh yeah.
Monster. Said the most truest thing about football. He said, "Look, these football fans have only got themselves to blame." He said, all the clubs will put the money up every single year and get more money as long as they keep going. He went, if they just didn't go for 2 or 3 weeks, if every Premier League club and the fans stayed away for a fortnight, he said they'd drop the prices immediately.
Yeah.
So he said, football fans have to blame themselves for paying it.
Yeah, he was a funny man, Eric Hall. I don't know if people remember him. Monster used to have the big cigar, didn't he, and all that. Did you know him well?
Yeah, I've met him. Me and Dave know him quite well, and he's a real genuine character. Do you know what I mean? But he spoke a lot of sense. He's a clever man as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's no longer with us, is he? He's passed away, isn't he?
Passed away now, yeah. But he, if anyone wants to dig out that clip of him, he's on television saying that. Do you know what I mean? I think he was on one of the chat shows he was on, but they're so true if you think about it. It just needs everyone in the Premier League, all the fans to join together up and down the country and go, this is taking the piss, we're not going.
Yeah.
And just don't go for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. I remember going to, he took me once back in the day as an actor, he took me once to see Wimbledon. So I went down to that old Plough Lane ground with him, and then I went back stage, as it were. I met Vinnie Jones and stuff because he was managing all of them people at the time.
He was a good bloke. I mean, just while we're on the case of Wimbledon, I just want to quickly say the best of luck to my mate Johnny Jackson, who's a manager there at the minute, and he's been doing well this season. He had a bit of a struggle last season. They lost a few players and had injuries, but I still think John will prove himself to be a first-class manager in the long term. I think it was a big mistake by Charlton to let him go when they did, but I wish him the best. I hope Wimbledon are up in the mix for promotion this season. I really do.
How are they doing at the moment?
I think they're in the top 6. I think they're doing all right. They're up there. They're only 3 or 4 points off the top near the playoffs, I believe. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I tell you what I've been doing. I've been watching some, I love watching YouTube all the time because I'm a big YouTuber, all of that. I watched that Graham Taylor football documentary, back in the day, when he got sacked from the England job.
You've just got me the sack. Thank you very much.
Yeah. do you remember that whole game? I mean, it was a farce. It was against Holland, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Do I not like that? Do I not? Yeah, I think Brian Moore was a commentator there, and he said he's going to chip one, and that was Koeman's, I think.
Yeah, and
scored the goal, and he should have been sent off, really.
Yeah, he should have been sent off about 5 minutes beforehand when he brought, I can't remember who it was, down. It was going right, bearing down on the goal. So he should have been sent off. They just booked him. Then he went up the other end and scored the free kick, didn't he?
Scored the free kick, yeah. It's a famous bit of commentary by Brian Moore, that is.
Yeah. Now, going back to the old football commentators and stuff like that, apparently Football Focus has hemorrhaged viewers left, right and centre. They're down by at least a third to a half. I'm not surprised, are you?
Listen, it's now ridiculous. Football, boxing and all major sports have gone into this new presenting era where, no disrespect to ladies, like they are capable of doing the job, but men like watching men talk about things. They can relate to it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not being sexist here. I think ladies should focus on the women's game, concentrate on making that a good spectacle for the ladies and for the general public. But, like Football Focus was about, it had always had Des Lynam, Gary Lineker, Jimmy Hill. You had Saint and Greavesy. Until we actually get back, there is a market for a programme of 2 good banter-like, funny football celebrities to go and, we need a Rodney Marsh and George Best or Stan Bowles type characters to come and present a Saturday morning show. that gives you a little bit of banter and a little bit of insight into the game, but just, gets you warmed up for it properly. It's just gone stupid at the minute. No one's got any real interest in it, and it's just lost all its appeal.
Yeah, well, you know what they need? They need a football expert like you, Brendan, on there,
Well, I think like someone like Harry Redknapp would be great.
Oh, he'd be great.
On one of them programs. Do you know what I mean? Harry Redknapp and maybe Razor Ruddock, someone like that.
Yeah.
Jimmy Bullard's another good character to have on one of them. But I think until you get characters back like that, that's what people want to watch. They want people who are entertaining and make the game a little bit of fun. I mean, Greasy was famous for slagging off the Scottish goalkeepers, wasn't he? He made a thing out of Scottish goalkeepers years and years ago. I
remember that.
But they're a bit like the women's goalkeepers now. And I do think a lot of Scottish women, their Scottish dads have produced Scottish women footballers and who have gone in goal.
Who's that woman commentator's always on? And I just have to switch off.
Match of the Day. Yeah. She's on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll turn it down as soon as it comes on.
Yeah, it really puts me off. Every time I'm listening to her, I think, I don't want to listen to it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, she just reminds me. Do you remember when Jimmy Savile had Jim Will Fix It, and they used to write in and go, "Can you fix it for me to commentate on a football game?" I think this is a Jim Will Fix It moment. This.
Mind you, what's the name of the England woman goalkeeper? She plays for Man United, doesn't she? She's pretty good, isn't she?
She's all right, but it is only other women that's kicking the ball at her, isn't it? Let's be fair.
Right, final thing. I was reading this thing about Ronaldo, not the new Ronaldo, the old Ronaldo from Brazil, and he was saying that he used to have sex before games, used to make him play better. Do you think this is a good thing to do? Have you ever done this, Brendan?
Well, I've had sex like before a football game. Yeah, I have had sex before a football game. I've missed some of the game, in fact, and then I was gutted because we scored in the first minute.
Well, you were late on the pitch, were you? Still in the dressing room doing the business. What kind of a show is this, folks?
George Best apparently was famous for that. Him and Rodney Marsh, I think, had a shag at half time with a bird.
Not the two of them.
I
thought you said they both had a shag together. So
no, I think there was a bird in between them, from what I remember, what I was told.
Yeah, well, this could be the way forward. Well, we haven't had sex before. I don't know about you, Brendan, but we haven't had sex before we've done this today. So maybe that's something for before next week's show.
It definitely spice up, the bit of makeup before the show, yeah.
All right, folks, hope you enjoyed it. That's been 5 Minute Football. Ridiculous title because it always goes on for 10 or 15 minutes. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, Liam. Thank you.